Welcome creators, artists, smart professionals, and all those ready to take action and create a passion-centered lifestyle. This is another episode of the Creative Action Podcast. I'm your host, Bruno Flo. I dedicate my entire life to the mastery of my craft. From producing video games, music albums, and films, to creating websites, business projects, and marketing strategies. I'm also a martial artist, long-term meditator, and professional coach. As a creator or artist, your unique perspective sets you apart. I'm committed to help you on your path towards your own creative vision, while sharing with you how to avoid the common traps that lead to existential anxiety, low energy, and burnout. Let's unlock greater levels of flow, freedom, and fulfillment together. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Action Podcast. I'm very happy again to share with you a few tips about how to be honest with yourself and with others, how to move forward with more speed, leveraging your honesty as a way of navigating through the world. This is an interesting theme. This is something I'm very passionate about because it's one of my core values at my brand as Bruno Flo and also on my personal life. Honesty has been one of the most important and valuable things I have learned to embrace and to implement and practice in real life. And I can assure you that it changed my life. It was a game changer for me. I learned the importance of honesty from Steve Pavlina, which is a blogger I really appreciate. He talks a lot about honesty, and also I learned a lot about it and using it in my own life thanks to the coaching process and transformation I went through in my coaching training. And I realized that honesty was an excellent way of making sure I was doing the right decisions and I was keeping my clarity levels at a high standard. So let's dive in on this episode in which I'm going to talk about the value of honesty that has been overemphasized since the dawn of time. Thought leaders like, let's say Benjamin Franklin, let's say Thomas Jefferson, Cicero, all praise the virtues of truthfulness. In this episode, we are going to delve into the profound impact that honesty can have on your personal and professional life. We are going to explore the reasons why some individuals shy away from embracing this fundamental virtue. Ever notice how we second guess ourselves about being honest upfront? It may happen sometimes with our partners, with our friends, with our boss maybe, especially when there is a power dynamic in the middle. And we start telling ourselves those stories about what may go wrong, hurting feelings, losing trust, missing out on opportunities, or maybe, getting fired in case it's a boss. And obviously, when you're focusing on honesty on this way, you will be more obsessed about all the things that may go wrong and you can lose instead of the things that you may be winning. Being honest demands courage of facing upfront just from the start, saying the things that you want, the things that you don't want, being really clear about what is it that you are going for. And of course, if you don't have this clarity for yourself, it's difficult to have this clarity when expressing to others and when making an arrangement or a negotiation or some of these. So the degree of honesty you can embody or practice is directly proportional to the degree of awareness you have about yourself, the degree of confidence and trust. For you, if you don't have awareness about where you are at right now, who you are, where you are going, it's probably that maybe you are not being honest without even realizing it. And this is probably the most common scenario. Also, having confidence and trust is important, because when you are, it's strictly related to having courage, because being honest is a way of facing the fear you have, because you're not being honest because you're afraid. You're afraid that you may be harming the other person, that you may be harming yourself, that you may be doing a wrong move. I can understand the reason behind it, because it happens to me a lot. It continues to happen to me as a coach also. Sometimes I discover I am afraid of telling something to my coachee or my client, and then I realize, no, if I'm not being honest, then this doesn't make any sense. This relationship will not be going anywhere. And I realize that every time I'm being honest with my clients is when the thing starts to move forward, when the thing starts to change in its direction. So honesty is very powerful. So you need to have courage. If you don't have courage, you will never be honest. You will continue to trying to manipulate the situation, to tweak what you say in some ways so you can manipulate the reaction the other person has. So you have like your own hidden agenda around the relationship. Keeping that kind of strategy is draining, is something that takes out your energy. It's not recommended if you are looking for results in the long term, which you should be looking for results in the long term. Looking for results in the short term is a recipe for suffering, for disaster. That's not sustainable. So yeah, we are afraid, and that's the reason we are not being honest. And sure, sometimes those things that we are afraid, they become true. So that's the reason we should listen to ourselves and think, okay, yeah, maybe I'm afraid of this. It makes sense. It's okay. Let's put an example. Maybe if I say this to my boss, he for sure is gonna kick me out of the company. So there is this possibility. So maybe before being honest, I should make sure that I don't know, I have a plan B in case I get kicked out of the company. I would recommend to anticipate consequences of being honest. That's very good. It happened to me that I was honest to a boss in a company I work a few years ago, because I was in a project that wasn't going anywhere, that I was stuck in the project and I wanted to move it forward, but no, the manager, which was my boss, didn't give me a lot of attention at that moment. He couldn't. He was like doing other things. So one meeting, I say, hey man, no, I'm not willing to continue with this. This is making me, this was in the pandemic. This is making me so bad. I'm feeling depleted. I will continue working, but with this other project, not with this one. And they fired me after that. So it happened. I knew that that was a possibility, but I needed to be honest for the sake of the relationship also, because it wasn't making any good for me or for my boss to keep things going in that way. So at the end, what I did was accelerating the process in which I wasn't being a good match for the company anymore. It wasn't a win-win relationship at that moment. It stopped being a win-win relationship, and it was the best thing, because after that, 2 days after that, I closed a client. I had like freelancing client. I closed a better deal with this client that I was winning even more money than with the 2 jobs I have at the pandemic or before the pandemic. I'm working half of the time. So it's crazy. Being honest helped me to clean that partial match I had in my life, which was this job, which wasn't fulfilling. I was struggling a lot, very depressed at that moment. At the beginning, I was very sad. I was crying. Oh man, I got fired. I never was fired before. It was the first time. And also, I'm very attached to being like to excellence and to do everything perfectly. And also, I did a lot of effort in that company, moving forward the project and everything. So I felt a bit hard. But after that, I felt a sense of relief. It was I recovered my soul instantly. It was a tough decision. But honesty was the value that allowed me to move forward and grab the courage and say, yes, this may go wrong, but for me it's more important to embrace honesty, because I know that this is the most important thing that guides me, my core value in life. I know that if I'm not living with honesty, I will be suffering. So I need to be honest. Since that, I had a first-hand experience of the effectivity of being honest and how it helps to move forward and how honesty is a catalyst for progress. When you are truthful, you have a better understanding of reality, and you also help others that are with you to have a better understanding, a better mapping of what's really happening, because you are saying what's happening inside you, and that's an invitation for the other person to also open. And that's healing. It's amazing the things that can happen when you take the leap and you start to be honest first with yourself, and then with your partner or with your coworkers or with everyone that you are relating to. This concept extends to personal and professional relationships. This fosters growth and trust. So it's recommended if you are into developing any lasting relationship and maximizing the lifetime value of your relationships, which you should. It's like business. What you want to do is every time you get a client, to keep the client the longest time you can, because that's the way to maximize the value of it. It's more expensive to get a client than to put effort in maintaining the quality of the experience of the clients during their journey. It's the same with your relationships. It's more difficult to gain trust with new relationships than to maintain the trust and keep a growing relationship that can change through time and can give you lots of unexpected benefits in the future. There's the example of my grandmother. Well, she had a rough time when she was getting older because she had some difficult behaviors, let's say, that made her lose all her relationships. She used manipulation tactics, and at the short term they worked for her, but in the long term the other person realized that she was lying, or she was she was manipulating the information in a way so she could get some kind of stupid benefit at the moment. So she ended alone, completely alone, by using that approach. So in the long term, that didn't work with my grandmother. And there is always room for self-reflection around honesty. I invite you to reflect on that. Focusing on potential short-term losses can lead to an ineffective way of life, a life of partial matches. Embracing this kind of scarcity mindset, because it is a scarcity mindset in which you feel you have too many opportunities to get what you want, so you manipulate what you have in order to achieve some personal goal. This kind of approach leads to anxiety, confusion, frustration, exhaustion. You are ineffective. It takes you more energy to get where you want to go. And this scarcity mindset is rooted on the belief that there are limited opportunities for you. And well, this can have deeper roots, like having very bad experiences in your past, survival problems. So you feel like if you miss out something, or if you lose this opportunity, there will not be other opportunity. However, when you look at facts, life is not a one-act play. It's an evolving process. It's something filled with opportunities for learning, for growth, renewal. Every day is a new day in which you can start again if things go wrong. So yes, trying to control everything, what you say, what you do, like micromanaging your relationships, it's draining. It creates anxiety, confusion. Authentic relationships thrive on openness and transparency, not on the constant need for manipulation and control. So, in conclusion, embracing honesty is not just a moral imperative, something you should do, or because your mother told you you should be honest, you should do it. No. Forget about that. It's a pragmatic approach to life. It doesn't matter if it's personal relationships, business relationships. The power of honesty lies in its ability to accelerate progress and foster trust, leading to a more fulfilling and successful life. And one word of caution here: being honest is not about unloading all your bullshit on someone else, not even caring about what happens to him. No, that's not honesty. That's not responsible. What I'm talking about is about being responsibly honest. You are honest because you have a greater good in mind, and you say this before being honest. This is a recipe I use. Before being honest with someone, with a friend or with your coworker or partner, you say why are you being honest? What's the reason behind it? In example, if I want to be honest with you around our relationship, because our relationship I feel is not working and I have some issues to talk about, before saying the issues, I will say, okay, what I am about to tell you is because I want the best for us and I want this to be a fulfilling relationship, and that you trust me and I trust you, and cultivate openness so we can get the results we want with this relationship. So if I hurt you when I say you this, I'm sorry about that. That's not my intention. What I want is to experience happiness and be fulfilling together for a long time. You say that, and then after that you say the honest truth that may be difficult to say. If you are at an interview, at a job, and you are struggling to say that you may be interested in working remotely at some point in the future, you wouldn't like them to just discard you because of this or whatever. You can say, before saying this truth, you had to say is, okay, I want to tell you something because for me honesty is very important and I want you to trust me. I want to cultivate this trusting relationship from start. So what I want to tell you is that I'm very interested in traveling while working, and while I understand that for you it's important that I go to the office every day, I also want to say to you that I'm actively interested on that, and I will be prioritizing offers in which I can do this. But my focus will be on first creating the results you need, creating the trust you need, and then start moving in that direction of traveling while working remotely. So I want this to be a non-problem for you. I want us to be on the same page with this. So that's a way of saying something that maybe you will be like struggling to say it. And these are just two examples. So remember, before saying what you need to say, first explain what you want to achieve by saying that. It's not that you're being honest because you want to unload your bullshit on the other person, or because you are arrogant and you throw the shit and you don't care. No, you care too much. You care too much for the well-being of yourself and the other person. You care too much of creating a win-win relationship with the other person. You care too much about the happiness and the effectivity of everything. So this is the most loving thing you can do. Being honest to others, to yourself. This is the most intelligent thing you can do. Practice being honest. Practice being honest with yourself, acknowledging what is it that you truly want. This is like basic. You need to start doing that exercise. I am always talking about this. Figuring out what is it important for you. It sounds stupid, but it's not stupid. It's so deep. It's difficult to get to the root behind the mask, behind the conditioning, and recognize what's truly important for me. For me, it's truly important to feel free and travel while I work, because if not, I feel burnout and I lose effectivity, and I need to know in the future I will be moving this direction. After you recognize that and you can say this out loud with clarity, it will be more easy for you to start asking for this in an open way. Start saying out loud to life and to other people, what is it that you need? If you don't ask for what you need, you are not going to get it. You are not going to get it. Life is gonna throw at you different things, partial matches about what you need, but you will feel like this is not fitting, this is something wrong, and that's because you are not being honest. You are not expressing to reality, to life, and to others what is it that you want. So it was a bit of a rant around honesty, around how to start practicing this value and start seeing the benefits. Try this for yourself. Don't believe me, please. I will hate that you should believe me because I say it. I want you to try it. Try it for yourself. Do an experiment. Say, okay, where do I need to be more honest? Where can I try to be honest? Grab courage. Grab courage first. Recognize how important it is for you to be honest on this thing, and then move forward. Take some action that expresses this level of honesty and clarity you try to embody. Be bold on what you want and move forward in that direction that you want, and not another direction that someone else tells you. That was the episode about honesty. If you like this episode, I invite you to follow this podcast if you haven't already, and leave a 5 stars review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because it is very helpful. I'm just starting with this podcast at this moment, and I have very little reviews, so every review will boost the algorithm and help more people to find this podcast, so that will be so helpful for me. Thank you so much. I wish you an excellent day. Keep going, keep moving boldly with honesty and courage. Like what you heard today? Then remember, real transformation only happens when you take creative action. Curious about the possibility of crafting a passion-centered lifestyle with me and my team? Visit brunoflow.com/clarity and apply for a free clarity session call.